Math Time with Miss Hartzell, Module 7, Lesson 15. I can measure lengths using an inch ruler.
All right, hey friends. So since we have a good understanding of an inch and how much space an inch takes up, we are going to put those inches together to create another tool that we use to measure. And this tool is called an inch ruler, okay? So we need to know how many inches make up an inch ruler, like this one. How many inches can fit on this ruler? Because this tool is definitely makes measuring a lot easier than using a quarter over and over again, or using an inch tile over and over again. This tool is handy because all of the inches are right on it. So I can just find an object and measure it quickly. So let's make sure that our brains remember how many inches make up 1 foot. In your pause and think segment of the video, you will be thinking about that. Stay tuned for that question.
Do you know how many inches make up 1 foot? We will be talking about this today, but pause and think and see if you remember or know. And no, we're not talking about your foot body part. We are talking about the unit of measurement called a foot. Pause and think. How many inches make up 1 foot? 1 unit of measurement called a foot. When you're finished thinking, press play.
So yesterday we investigated a unit of measurement called an inch. We use inches to measure length, width, or height. Since the diameter of a quarter is exactly 1 inch, we use this coin to help us investigate and learn about inches. Today we will use a special tool called an inch ruler to measure. This tool makes measuring easier and more accurate because all of the inches are neatly organized on this tool. So when you look at this ruler, you will notice that there are 2 sides that have different units of measurement. At the beginning of the year, we used this side of the ruler to measure centimeters. Today, and for the next few days, we will use this side of the ruler to measure inches. So in case you ever have to use this tool in the future, here are some helpful hints to identify inches from centimeters, because sometimes that can be a little tricky. First, if you notice the spacing between the numbers on both sides of this tool, you'll notice that the spacing between the numbers is not the same. On the centimeter side of the ruler, because centimeters are a smaller unit, remember we looked at that grain of rice yesterday? The numbers are close together. On the inch side of the ruler, because inches do take up more space than a centimeter, the numbers are further spaced apart. So that is a way where that can help you identify the centimeter side of the ruler that we used at the beginning of the year from the inch side of the ruler. On an inch ruler, there are only 12 inches that can fit. And we actually have another name for 12 inches. When objects are 12 inches, we call that a foot. And no, not the foot that you stand on, but we call it a foot, called a unit of measurement. So if something was 24 inches, we can also say that that object is 2 feet. Rulers are a really great tool. because the inches don't move around and there are no gaps or overlaps. So unlike yesterday, when we measured objects and used iteration, our measurements weren't that accurate. We tried our best by taking our time and carefully moving the object and moving it from endpoint to endpoint, and we did our best. But what's cool about rulers is that the inches are already drawn for you. And that makes measuring a lot easier and a lot more precise and accurate. However, you will notice that not all objects measure to be an exact whole inch. So let's take a look at what I'm talking about and how you can figure out the measurement if it is not exactly an inch. Take this marker, for example. When we measured this marker yesterday, we noticed that we could move the quarter 6 times down this marker. When we got towards the end of the marker, there was a little bit of extra space, and we decided to stick with 6 inches. Let's investigate this same object now today using the ruler. So remember, when we are measuring an object, we want to start at 0. This side of the ruler is where we begin. This is 0. It means that I have not started measuring. There is no space here. I line up my object as carefully as I possibly can, and I investigate how many inches this object takes up. Once I leave 0, I approach 1 inch, and I continue to count my inches until I reach the end of my object. And as you can see, here I am at 6, and just like yesterday, this marker is not exactly 6 inches, but you can see that it is very far from being 7 inches. So if I were to tell somebody the measurement of this marker, the length of this, I would tell them that it is about 6 inches. And that's okay. It's okay to say a close measurement, especially when you're in 2nd grade. Later, when you are in older grades, you will learn about these little lines in between the inches. But for today, we are going to worry about the big numbers, which represent the inches. Now, sometimes you will find objects that are exactly an inch, like this picture. Again, when I am measuring an object, I want to choose a starting point, a starting side of the object. That is 0. Just like this ruler, before we even start moving our finger across this tool, we are starting at 0. That represents that nothing has been measured yet. The moment my finger leaves 0 and I start to count my inches, now I am counting how much space the object is taking up. And I continue counting until I get to the other end of the object, and I can figure out the length. This picture is exactly 6 inches in length. It is the end point finishes right where the 6 is. So I can say that this picture is 6 inches in length. So today during your daily practice and your exit ticket, you will be looking at some images and using virtual rulers to help you determine lengths. Because I know that at home, not everybody has a ruler, and that's okay. What's important is knowing what to do when you are looking at a ruler and understanding that the inch takes up space. And that is what we are doing when we measure length. We are measuring how much space the object takes up in this one dimension. If you are interested in practicing measurement at home and you have a ruler, awesome. Take that ruler and go around your house and measure different objects. If you don't have a ruler at home, you could create your own ruler by taking a piece of paper, whether it is lined or a blank piece of paper, and you can use iteration with your quarter, and you can create your own ruler. Just keep in mind that normal pieces of paper that we use are not 12 inches. So unfortunately, you will not be able to make an exact inch ruler, but you can make a tool that has inches on it and could help you practice measuring. So if you decide to do this, you will have to be very careful. You'll hold down the object, you'll take your pencil, and you'll make a vertical line to represent the first inch. Then you'll move that object over, doing your best not to make any gaps or overlaps, but starting that object where you just made that line, line it up, hold it down, make another vertical line. And you would continue to do this, moving it over, holding it down, drawing your vertical line until you have reached the end of the paper. And then you could go around your house and you could measure objects. It would be best if you labeled each inch so that you don't have to keep recounting every single time. So remember that whenever you are measuring, whether you're using your own created tool, you're using a ruler that you have at home, or you are completing your daily practice and using a virtual tool, you want to start with 0. 0 means that you have not measured anything yet. Then you start counting away from the starting point and stopping at the end point of the object. If your object is not exactly a whole inch, then you will have to use your best judgment to figure out the length. Like this pencil. This pencil is not an exact whole inch. Starting at the tip of the pencil, and starting at 0, I move my finger down and I count my inches. Once I get to the eraser, I notice that the eraser is in between the 6th and the 7th inch. But the eraser is much closer to the 7th inch than the 6th inch. So I would say that this pencil is about 7 inches because it's almost at the 7. Unlike the marker that we looked at previously, the end of this marker is much closer to the 6th inch. So I would say that this marker is about 6 inches. So use that information today as you complete your daily practice and your exit ticket. And I hope that you do your best and persevere. Have a great day, friends.